guys, we've got a completely different setup here today. I'm going to be going over my collection with you. So I'm going to be doing my foundations and primers today. And I'm not going to call this a declutter video because I don't really have that much to declutter. If I don't like something, I usually pass it on or throw it away or return it if I can. So if anything, I'm probably just going to be throwing away stuff that's a little bit too old. And I'm definitely not going to call this an organizational video because you're going to see I have my makeup grouped into different drawers, but it's not organized. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at my primer and foundation collection. Hey guys, so this is the one corner of my room that has my Alex 9 drawer, and across from there under my table that I sit at is my Alex 5 drawer. So all of my makeup fits into these two drawer systems, and this drawer system that you see here, the 9 drawer, is basically to my left when I'm filming. You can't actually see it when I'm filming, but it's there. So what I'm going to do is start with foundations and primers, and that is basically all in this top drawer here. So let me go ahead and open that. So you can see I have quite a few here. I even have my Clé de Peau the foundation, which I was planning on putting in here, but it doesn't fit. So I did actually end up keeping this little tray that it came with that I was not planning on keeping, but it does hold it very nicely. So in no particular order, because everything is just sort of thrown in here, I'm just going to talk about things as I grab them. Well, let's start with the Clé de Peau the foundation, since it's up here. You guys know I love this. This is the foundation that has a lot of skincare ingredients in there as well, and you can see I've gone pretty hard. It's about, I want to say it's probably more than halfway gone at this point, and I've only had it for about 2 months, not even 2 months. Anyway, loving this, as you guys know. This also just appeared in my Clé de Peau full face try-on review haul thing. Anyway, this is the brightening enhancer base, so this is a great primer, and it really did brighten my complexion, so I really like this. It has a really nice thin consistency. This is my Victoria Beckham Estee Lauder Morning Aura Illuminating Cream. I love, love, love to use this as primer. I've been trying to give it a break because I was using it just every single day, and I thought, let me show some love to some other products. But I do love this, and I feel like I need to kind of whip this baby back out. The Chantecaille Ultra Sun Protection Sunscreen. It has an SPF 45. This is such an interesting product. I didn't think I was going to like it because it was so super liquidy. Let me show you guys. Can you see how like liquidy and weird the consistency is? So I was really put off when I first purchased this, but it really makes a great, great primer. It really smooths the skin. And every time I do wear it, I do feel the sun protection. Like my skin doesn't get hot when I have this on. So I do think it's a really great sunscreen, and it's a really great primer. And it says that you can use it by itself. Totally agree. It kind of does like a nice smoothing effect to your skin. So I love this primer. Here's the La Mer Reparative Skin Tint. This appeared in my foundation week. I really like this. It has a really lovely moisturizing feel. It has like a light to medium coverage. It also has SPF 30 in there, so I think this is great for summertime. And then of course we have my La Mer foundations here. Love it. I started out using Neutral 22, which still works for me, but I also picked up Natural 12, which is just a little bit warmer, if you will. It's a little bit peachier, where the neutral is a little bit cooler in tone. So I can wear one or the other. I can wear both. These both work on my skin tone, and I don't think I have any other foundation that is like a medium coverage that's so flawless and so nourishing for the skin. This is really, really a great foundation. And then here is the Kogendo Aqua foundation. This is the new formula, and I have shades 113 and 123. Again, I feel like this is a similar situation to the La Mer, where one is just a little bit lighter, a little bit warmer, and the other one is just a little bit cooler. And this is a great lightweight foundation. The coverage is not bad. It's not like it's almost imperceptible. It's just very, very natural, and I like the finish of this. It's not overly dewy, but it's not matte at all. It's just a very natural, beautiful finish. And I think this is one of those foundations that looks better throughout the day. It's really magical. Oh, here's my old Kogendo Aqua foundation. I have it in the shade 123. This one is much peachier. They toned down the peachiness in the new one, so I don't know if you guys can see it in the bottle, but here's the new 123 and here's the old one. and the new one is much more neutral leaning than the old one. Here is the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I have it in the shade 4, and I like this foundation. I don't know why I don't reach for it more often, probably because I have so many, but I really do like this foundation. For me, it definitely needs to be set down. It is very, very dewy, and it has a really like beautifully like kind of flawless finish. And this has like a bit of a higher coverage than most of my foundations. I want to say this one has like a medium coverage. Yeah, it's very, very creamy. But I think since I got the La Mer and even the Cogendo, I just don't really reach for this one that much. I like the La Mer a lot better than this one. And then here's the Armani Power Fabric. This one has a more matte finish. It has a sunscreen SPF in there. This foundation I like. I just don't reach for it because I am not a fan of like the matte kind of finish. But this also has a lot more coverage than something like the Luminous Silk Foundation. And I'm not really into high coverage foundations. Here's the Chanel Le Beige Sheer Healthy Glow Moisturizing Tint. It has an SPF 30. I just reviewed this in my foundation week. Really love this. Really light, beautiful, natural coverage, which I really especially like in the summertime. And the only downside to this is that it has a very, very fragrant fragrance. It's very floral smelling, and it doesn't dissipate that quickly. It kind of lingers a bit, so that's the one downside to me. I wish I didn't smell it when I had it on, but it is very, very nice. And speaking of Chanel, this is the Vita Lumiere Aqua. I have it in the shade 10 Beige, which is actually, I think, a little bit too light for me. Let me shake this up and see. Yeah, it's a little light. I think I kept it because, you know, use enough bronzer and anything is okay. So that's the Vita Lumiere. And then speaking of Chanel, this is the Sublimage Latent. And I really, really love this foundation. It has a very natural finish. It also feels very nourishing to the skin, very much like the La Mer and the Clé de Peau foundations. And I've used it quite a bit. It is a much more natural finish, or less dewy, I should say, than the Clé de Peau or the La Mer. So if you're looking for something that has you know, like a moisturizing quality to it, like the Clé de Peau and the La Mer, but you don't want anything quite so dewy, I think this is a good option. Here is the Chantecaille Just Skin Tinted Moisturizer. This has an SPF 15. I love this one. This is like the La Mer Reparative Skin Tint. This is like the Chanel Healthy Glow Sheer color. It has a bit more coverage than the Chanel. It's probably in line with the La Mer. It has like a light to medium, closer to medium kind of coverage, but this just makes your skin just look so plump and healthy. And I have it in the shade Vanilla, and it has just a great texture. It's just very, very creamy. I love this Chantecaille. It's beautiful, and it's really, really beautiful over that Ultra Sun primer. And then here's the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation. This was also another foundation I reviewed during Foundation Week. I have it in the shade Texel, which is SF3, and I really like this foundation, but you know, I haven't really reached for it since that week because all the foundations that I ended up reviewing afterwards, I really, really enjoyed a lot, and so I've just been reaching for those. And this has a little bit more of like a natural finish, and I like something that's pretty dewy, especially in the summertime. So I just haven't been reaching for this, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. It's just something I'm not reaching for. And here's the La Prairie Cellular Swiss Ice Crystal Transforming Cream. It has an SPF 30, and this is just like the Chantecaille and the La Mer. It's like a tinted sunscreen. It has a really nice kind of creamy texture, and it has decent coverage, and I really enjoyed using this one. I don't know, again, this is another one I feel like I'm just not reaching for too often because I have so many amazing options, but I do like this one. I think I need to whip this out for the summertime. Oh, so I have it in the shade 20 Nude, and I have also heard, I think someone commented on one of my videos that La Prairie is planning on discontinuing this. So if this happens to be one of your favorite products, you may want to get a backup of this. I have this travel size of the IT Cosmetics CC Cream. I have it in the shade, I think this is medium. Yeah, so I have this in the shade medium, and I think it's way too dark for me. This also has super high coverage, which is not for me. So this I think I'm actually going to pass along. I may give this to my mother. I think this is something that she may like. So I'm going to give this to her and see what she thinks. I have the Tom Ford Traceless Perfecting Foundation. I have it in 02 Ivory. I love this foundation. This is a great foundation that has that natural skin finish, but isn't too matte or drying in any way. It's just a teensy bit radiant. It really looks very flawless on the skin. Then I have the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. Like I think everyone else on YouTube, I love this stick foundation. This is probably the only stick foundation that I have ever come to like and use. It definitely has a fuller coverage for me, but I really like it. It doesn't feel heavy. I don't think it emphasizes my imperfections, which I feel like most kind of full coverage foundations do. And I just like it. I just think it wears really well. It's just super smooth. I love it. Then I also have the Hourglass Illusion Hyaluronic Skin Tint, and this has an SPF 15. This is another great one. This is just like my other tinted SPFs. This has a really great creamy texture as well, and it goes on fairly thick, but once you start blending it out, and it blends really nicely, I don't feel like the coverage is too overwhelming. It's just a really natural kind of finish there. Here is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation. If I want to put on a matte foundation, this is the one. This one is so beautiful. This just has such a great finish. It definitely dries down with a matte to natural kind of finish, but it goes on so smooth. You don't feel like it's going to be matte in any way. It just is. It really is just very flawless. Of course, I have my Surratt Surreal Skin Foundation wands. I love these. I have them in the shade 3 and 4, and 3 I'll use on most of my face, 4 I'll use on my forehead, and these are just great. They come with this brush, which is actually pretty decent, I have to say. I probably don't blend in my entire face with this brush, but it's great to kind of start to work the product in with this, and then use a different brush to kind of finish off. But I take these basically on every trip that I go on because they're so handy. You know, you don't have to worry about the foundations breaking. I also don't like decanting or depotting any foundations. It's just annoying to me. So usually if I'm going to go on a trip, these are the foundations I reach for. And my Glossier Skin Tint. This is probably like my 3rd bottle at this point. I have it in the shade medium. This is another one. Just great everyday kind of sheer coverage. I love the little squeezy tube that it comes in. It's easy to use. It's just great. I love it. Oh, this MAC Next to Nothing. Wow, I forgot about this. I have it in the shade Light Plus. I really like this foundation. This is one I definitely have to whip out and use more often. But I purchased this last summer and I really enjoyed it. I have a video review of this if you're interested, but I really like this. I don't know if this got good reviews or not, but it worked for me, so I like this one. This one is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Light Stay in Place Makeup. I have an Intensity 1, and I think it's too light for me, or maybe it's too dark. So there is the Double Wear Light in Intensity 1. I'm not sure that I gave this a fair shot. I think I bought it, I wore it one day, didn't really think much of it, and then kind of tucked it away. So I think I need to whip this guy back out, because I think this has a nice coverage, but it feels really nice. It feels nicer than I recall. And then I have the Becca Aqua Luminous Perfecting Foundation. I have it in the shade Light. I think this is very old, so I think actually I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to toss this. I got this before I moved to Vegas, and that was a year and a half ago, and this has a 12-month shelf life. Not that I always listen to shelf life, but I think this is just, yeah, I think this is just too old. Oh, that's right. This is the weird one with the weird dropper. I also don't like this applicator. Okay, so I'm going to toss this. Oh, and then for powder foundations, I have these Ket Cosmetics powder foundations in N3 and N2. I really like these powder foundations. They are very full coverage. They look really nice on the skin. But because, again, they're full coverage, it's just not something that I reach for often. But if I'm looking for a full coverage foundation, this is definitely up there for me. So I do like these very much. And then the other powder foundation that I really enjoy is the Kogendo Gloss Film Foundation. This one has a much more natural finish. I like the way this one wears. It looks really beautiful on the skin, and it kind of melds into your skin as the day goes on. And there's a decent amount of coverage. I want to say it's less than the Ket, but it is, it's not like light. I want to say it's like a light to medium. Oh, and then I have this really random cushion foundation. I purchased this at a Sephora when I was traveling. This is the Lancome Miracle Cushion. I'm not even sure if they make this anymore. And the lighting in the Sephora was really awful. So I think I ended up with a color that is like way off for me. I actually don't even remember. It's like really too light and too kind of chalky looking for me. It's like too cool toned. And I've had this for a very long time. I'm surprised it's actually still moist. Yeah, so I'm gonna toss this. And then I have a whole bunch of primers in here. I have the Chanel Le Blanc de Chanel. This is one of those primers that like illuminates you. I like this one. This one is not bad. I do like the Clé de Peau more, but this one is a decent alternative. I have this Tarte Clean Slate Timeless Smoothing Primer. I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't know. I don't have a lot of deep pores. I think I was hoping to kind of fill in more of my lines, but I don't think pore fillers work great for lines. So I think I'm actually going to toss this as well. This is also very, very old. Here is another primer. This is a Makeup Forever Nourishing Primer. I think I'm going to toss this also. I purchased this in New York, definitely. So this is probably more than 2 years old and I never use it. So I'm going to toss this also. And then I have two of these primers from Becca. I have the Backlight Priming Filter and the First Light Priming Filter. This one is not as old. I think I got this maybe about a year ago. This one is very old. This one I definitely got in New York. So I'm going to toss this one. And I think I'll keep the Becca one because I do actually like this. This has a nice brightening effect as well. And here's the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. I really enjoy this one. I think I got this last summer. I really like this one. I'm going to keep this. MAC Strobe Cream. This is actually a very recent purchase, so I'm going to hold on to this as well. I think everyone knows what this looks like. The Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This I've had for a very long time, but it is still good. I love this stuff. It's just so nourishing, and it just smells great. Just love it. Love, love, love it. So I'm holding on to this. Tom Ford Radiant Moisture Souffle. Love it. This is a great kind of illuminating moisturizer, and it makes a great primer if you have dry skin. It just gives your skin like this beautiful kind of golden sheen. Love it. It's very subtle. It's more subtle than the Victoria Beckham one. The Marc Jacobs Perfecting Coconut Face Primer in Invisible Undercover. I like this a lot, and I use quite a bit of it. I use about half of this, but this is incredibly old, so I'm going to toss this. Oh, I missed this. This is the Aburian BB Cream. This I really like. I like the texture, but I do think the color is a little bit off for me. I think I have the same issue with this like I had with the Lancome. It's too cool and too pale, so it ends up looking very ashy on my skin. So yeah, I'm going to pass this along. I think actually I will toss this because, oh, it has a 6-month shelf life. Oh my gosh, and I purchased this in New York, so this is definitely way too old. Glossier sunscreen. I really like this. 35 SPF. It's great. It feels like nothing on the skin. It's one of the few SPFs that I don't mind wearing, so I actually should take it out of this drawer and put it on my vanity. Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is a great primer. This just appeared in my May favorites. Love this. Definitely going to hold on to this. The Tom Ford Illuminating Primer. Really love this primer. This is another great illuminating base if that's what you're looking for. It has a little bit of a cooler effect than the Radiant Moisture Souffle. The Radiant Moisture Souffle is a little bit more gold. This is a little bit more pearly. Here is the Tom Ford Bronzing Primer. This is great if you want to add just a little bit of color to your complexion. Just like warms up your skin a little bit. Oh, I love this. In fact, I need to take this out also for the summertime. And then I have the Tom Ford Skin Illuminator. I love this to add into my foundation just to give me a little bit more glow. It's very, very beautiful. It looks very peach in the bottle, which it is. But once you add it to your foundation, oh, it just gives it a little bit of like that like J-Lo glow. Love this. And then I also have the Tom Ford Bronzing Gel. This is an interesting product. This is, well, it's a gel, so right there it's a little bit different. But it's a nice kind of base product. It is kind of like, kind of gives you like a tea-stained look to your skin, and it's just, it's nice, and so you can kind of use it very, very sparsely, and it just gives your skin just a little bit of color. It's probably a little bit more subtle than the bronzing primer, which I think packs a little bit more punch. I have this Kogendo makeup color base. They were kind enough to send this to me. This is in the shade Lavender Pink. This did not do good things to my skin. It kind of picked up any texture that I had, and the lavender pink I think is not a good thing for my skin tone. So I'm actually going to pass this along because this is not very old. They just sent this to me maybe 2 months ago. So I'll see if I know anyone that wants this. And then I have a bunch of these travel sizes. This Smashbox Photo Finish Radiance primer. I remember bringing this on a trip, using it. I think I liked it. I really can't remember what I thought of it, but I'm going to hold on to that. I have a Cover FX mattifying primer. This is super old. I don't usually like mattifying primers, so I'm going to toss this. I have the Dr. Jart BB SPF 45 BB cream, and I think I got this as a point perk or something, but Tara Babies loves this, so I thought maybe I would give this a shot, which I haven't yet, so I'm going to hold on to that. And then I have a little MAC strobe cream, so I'm going to hold on to that as well. And then I have this Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. It has an SPF 15. This is one of those primers that I don't generally reach for. It has that very slick, smooth silicone feeling. It has a lot of silicone in there. So it's not my favorite thing, but every once in a while I just feel like using it. So anyway, I'll hold on to that. So let me go ahead and put everything back in the drawer, and then I'll show you what I am tossing and that one thing that I'm actually going to try and find a new home for. Alright, so there's everything back in my drawer. And then here are the things that I'm getting rid of. I'm going to find a new home for this, because this is relatively new. And then I'm going to hand this off to my mom, and then the rest of this is just too old. So that's it for my primers and foundations. Definitely stay tuned and subscribed if you're interested to see the rest of my collection. I'm going to be doing concealers and powders next, I think. But anyway, we'll be going through my entire collection, so definitely stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon.